Hello and welcome to the Womb-Centered Healing Podcast. I'm Sama Morningstar and I have Clare Galloway with me here. Thank you, Clare, for joining me. We're both really excited about this Ancestral Healing with Herbs course that I've been creating, and my discussions with Clare and supporting Clare and other Womb-Centered Healing Temple members in their ancestral healing process has been a big inspiration for the creation of this course. And I'm noticing that one of the things, and I want to say this with you, Clare, because you've been instrumental in me discovering this, is that my creation process is very much relational. So that's where I really find my creativity to flow, is if there's someone I'm relating with and I care about, like you, who is sharing with me about their challenges or struggles or things that they're contemplating, and maybe they have pain about it, okay, and I can relate to that pain, and perhaps I have worked with that myself and found solutions, or perhaps I haven't, but that opens up this additional I've worked with it, but maybe I haven't found solutions, or I want more. And that opens up this additional energy of creative flow and insight. It's almost like my ancestors and your ancestors get together and say, okay, what do they need now? What information do they need now together? And that it just opens up a whole...
it's like the collective energy. It's more than the sum of the parts. So it opens up a vortex, almost an opening aperture.
Right. And so that's one of the reasons why I'm organizing the things that I'm offering in the online Womb-Centered Healing Temple in this way. I received the guidance to create this temple, and then as people joined and shared what their intentions and purposes and needs and desires were around womb-centered healing, then that would inspire me to create offerings and inspire other womb-centered healing practitioners to create offerings to meet those needs and to address the collective desires for womb-centered healing specifically as we go, and cater it to the needs of the community. And so that's why the online groups that we're in are really important. So we have the Womb-Centered Healing Temple Facebook group. We also have the Womb-Centered Healing Temple Mighty Networks group, which is an alternative to Facebook, which is really great for if you're not on Facebook, you don't like Facebook, or if you got censored on Facebook like Clare did and was like, enough of this business. Or
like much easier to, safer, like less distracting and more to the point, and holding the space for us to witness each other without having to fight through all the publicity and distractions and clicking and pop-ups and messages and all the rest of it. It's beautiful, really good.
And it'll be a great place as more people start entering into working with the Womb-Centered Healing Temple coursework, which is directly designed for the Womb-Centered Healing Temple members and students and clients. Everyone seems to be wanting the same thing: ancestral healing and herbal healing, and where they come together. I do these, you've had one, Clare, I do these womb listening initiations to begin working with someone. And in that initiation, I help people to listen to their own womb guidance and their own womb wisdom about what their priority for their womb-centered healing process would be. And time again, it lands on ancestral healing and working with herbs. And so the more I heard this, I'm like, okay, I need to do. And then I had an in-person group wanting a womb-centered healing series of workshops with herbs. And as I was sharing about the herbs, all this information about ancestral healing was coming out to meet the needs of that in-person group. So
everything joins up.
And stuff I didn't even realize that I knew inside from my own experience working with the herbs started flowing out of me. And so I started creating the course. And so Claire and I agreed to come on and talk about this a little bit. And she wants to hear more about the course. So I thought I'd do a screen share because I just wanted to show some of you how that might be curious, but might be a little bit shy about the technology and going to a website, signing up for an online membership. I just wanted to demystify it a little bit. I know I tend to be wordy and poetic and have like curly fonts that might be hard to read. Yeah. And Claire and I have discussed this because we've discussed our back end strategy because she has
the women of the words as well.
Right.
It's like you're saying about when you're making sense of how everything in your own life experience relates to the world, you kind of have to put a lot of words around to make it like find where all the connections are, because we have all these compartmentalized experiences because we've been compartmentalized in our lives, but now we're through the womb work, we're doing this, bringing it all into synchrony and seeing how it all works, like how the wombs nest into each other and our family histories nest into our experience, and how the microcosm and the macrocosm and all the layers of time past and the layers of the future that are unfolding. Like working with the womb, you really start to bring everything into like, oh my God, I can see how it all connects. So I think you do have to chat about it, especially talking with other women, because then you realize you're not this isolated unit. Mm-hmm. Your wholeness relates to the wholeness of the world and relates to the wholeness of the women, like the women collective. And it's really important to understand that with chatting a lot, with speaking in great depth with other women to exactly. Weave our words together and create a strong fabric. Yeah.
Right. And so that's the relational quality of womb-centered healing, and why these online groups are so helpful. You know, I mean, some women have local communities where they have that local groups that they meet with regularly, and I'm slowly building towards that, finding my local community. But in the meantime, I know many others around the world who don't have that kind of a local community to have that kind of relational healing process. And so I wanted to also talk about the website and how it works, because it is challenging to distill this multifaceted, multi-layered wholeness of what we're talking about into simple website title structured navigation processes. And I'm still in process around that to make the Womb-Centered Healing Temple website something that's easy to navigate. And so I'm going to walk through this with Claire, and she's already given me some good feedback about how to simplify and streamline it, and I'll be continuing to work with that. But the membership prices right now are very introductory and very, very low to start having some support from the community while it's still in this developmental phase. And I'm developing the Ancestral Healing with Herbs course, and it's in a developmental process as well. And so, you know, the entry level pricing is, you know, you can come in at $9 a month and be a supporting member to help the development of this and benefit from receiving everything as it rolls out. So let's go look at it here. Let's see, I'm going to share the screen. I'm going to share that one. Okay.
I was just thinking, Sama, about how important it is to allow the chaos of the initial process, like to trust in it and go into it and do the work and allow it all to come out of you. even if it does start off slightly unpolished or not laid out in a way that others can digest, it's really important to do the work so that we can get to the far end of it when it is refined and it's got all the feedback being honed and shown, the facets gone and it turned into a jewel. But yeah, it's really important to go through the messy creative experience, otherwise you don't get to the work of art. Yeah?
Right, exactly. So here we are on the Womb-Centered Healing Temple page. Now, I have updated this menu bar numerous times. This Embodied Shakti Summit sign-up page should not be there. I don't know why it's still showing up there. I've updated it and it's still showing up. Let me just refresh that page in case that will change that. So, and make it, there it is. This is how it's supposed to be.
Oh, that looks more clear altogether.
Yes. So, and I've included the contact page here in the upper menu. And so this page is the introductory to the Womb-Centered Healing Temple in general. When you scroll down, you can see options to subscribe to the temple newsletter, to sign up to become a member, to see the calendar of temple events. You can have a tour of the temple where you go to a particular page and it has all of the different free temple spaces that you can check out, where you can see the podcasts and all the different free temple access pages. And then a little bit more about the temple. You can make a donation, and then there's acknowledgments around the and influences in the creation of the temple. So I also have social media links here, and it's a little bit different than the typical social media because I'm moving away from some of the big social media things like Facebook. Normally you'd see Facebook, Twitter, Instagram.
Yeah.
I can't do all of those. I just have narrowed down to just using Facebook to keep a toe in those waters. And then YouTube is where I'm posting most of my video content. This icon is for Anchor, where I have the podcast, the Womb-Centered Healing Temple podcast. And this icon, the M, is for Mighty Networks. And that's where you'll access the Mighty Networks group. So I've set this up so that I'm directing people from the temple into these more private, less distracting, less censorship and advertising oriented, more ownership of our own content oriented platforms. So say you want to access the Ancestral Healing with Herbs course. The first step would be to go to the member sign up page. And it's going to take a second to get us there. Here goes. So on this member sign up page, I have a video describing the membership program that you can watch and listen to. I have, and then you can go to, I'm already logged in. Right here, it would give you the option to sign up to be a member. You need to do both of these things. You need to sign up to be a member and then come back to this page and go to the plans page, which will give you the plan options. Okay, now you've already done this, Claire, so you don't need to worry about this. I'm just showing this for other listeners. This is the plans page. And just to show what the different plans are. And It's taking a second because I have so many pages on my site. Another reason to streamline it. They keep telling me, you have a lot of pages. It might cause slow loading. Try this option, but their option doesn't fit the way I do it yet. So we'll see.
Go with it until you find a better way to do it. You go with it first.
Exactly. And so the courtship 1 month free trial membership gives you access to a bunch of temple free stuff and 1 or 2 free courses, but it doesn't give you access to the Ancestral Healing with Herbs course. In order to have access to that course, you need to at least sign up for the First Kiss $9 per month membership. If you want to have access to more one-to-one sessions with me, the $9 a month gives you access to, say, well, you could start out with a womb listening initiation, and then you might feel like having one-to-one session with me per year just to look at your how you're interacting with the site and how you're interacting with the coursework and get some additional support. $18 a month, you might get an additional one-to-one session every few months. If you want them more regularly, you can do $45 a month or $90 a month or $108 a month, just depending on how many sessions with me you want per month. And so that's the sign up page. So once you get signed up, then you'll get an email that tells you the link, that gives you the link to the members only access page. You're going to want to save that email. If you can't find that email, you can always just come to the website, wombcenteredhealing.com, and up in this more portion of the menu, you can scroll down to the members only access page. Okay? And if you signed up properly, it will give you the opportunity to sign in and then give you the members only access page. So we're waiting for it to load. Here it is. So I'm already signed in. If you were already signed in, it would say, hello, Claire, and give you the opportunity to log out. Or if you weren't signed in, it would say sign in, and you would sign in. So since I'm already signed in, it's taking me straight to the page. What I have at the beginning of this page is a womb listening meditation recording, which can assist you on any given day to listen to that first to see what you might need to access on the members page, what your womb is.
I find that it's really beautiful. It's a lovely idea to have that as a gateway to come through that, to come into everything else. Beautiful. Yeah.
And then the next section has access to all the things that are available to the free trial courtship membership members. Okay. Now there are some Ancestral Healing with Herbs materials available for the free access people on this Herbal Womb Wellness intro page. So there are some of the webinars that I've done and some podcast episodes that I've done all in one place to sort of get you prepared and rolling if you want to just check it out and get involved in the discussion. Then for the paying members that want to have full access to the course, you can come down and go to the full-on womb wellness, Herbal Womb Wellness page. So let's click on that. Hopefully it's taking us there. Here we go. No, that's not the right link. Shoot. If I didn't mess that up. Hold on 1 second.
It's good to know about checking through, huh?
Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to just share the screen and show you from the back end. It's a little glitch there that it's not letting me access, even though I'm the admin. It's wanting me to pay for a membership to be able to access this. But if you signed up for your membership, then you should have easily been able to come to, this will be the members only page, and I'm getting it in there from the back end. Welcome to the Herbal Womb Wisdom Wellness Access page. Okay. On this page, I have Kelly Garza's do-it-yourself vaginal steaming tutorial. You can link to that tutorial, which is very helpful if you want to get in on some vaginal steaming and do it yourself. It guides you through a menstrual cycle assessment for yourself and helping yourself to choose what kind of herbs and what kind of steaming protocol you might want to do. I found that even with that tutorial, it helps to learn more about it as we get more into the nitty-gritty of that. There's also the menstrual cycle analysis form that I'm working with people through for their womb wellness assessment, and a womb wellness assessment form where it goes more into detail about your past, your history, and all the things that may have happened in your life that influence your womb wellness. And then you can schedule your womb wellness assessment appointment with me to go over these forms and really discuss what it is that your womb is calling for, given your constellation of symptoms and the wellness of your womb. So then, to get to the Ancestral Healing with Herbs course, we have the link is a little bit farther down here. Now, there, right above it is the Womb Goddess Awakening course, which is a steaming course working with the inner maiden, mother, and crone energies. And so you can use this steaming course throughout the different weeks of your cycle that correspond to the maiden, mother, and crone. And it's really a lovely course to go with your steaming protocol. And then the Ancestral Healing with Herbs, I'm going to go and take us to the page to just look at it here. I'm realizing I'm revealing the password here, but if you haven't signed up, you won't even be able to get to this page anyway. So you have to sign up for membership to even get to this page. Doesn't matter if you know the password. Okay, so now I'm going to go to, I have to go through the back end here because it's not letting me access it as a member for some reason. It's not registering me as the admin. Come on. Okay, here we go. Come on. Okay, so it's going to take a second. I just wanted to give you a little sneak peek preview of the course and show you how to navigate. If you have signed up for your membership, or if you're considering it, sign up for your membership, you get to the member access page, you look for the link to the course, and it will take you to the page here. Okay, come on. All right, so that should close and let us, it takes a second to load, so please forgive the slowness. It's because of all the summits. I have page after page after page of like 3 summits now, so that's why it's so slow for the site to load. Okay, so this course consists of a combination of written material, photos from my garden, those are roses from the garden. This is a statue at a hot springs that I go to. So the first part of the course is about creating your altar, your Ancestral Healing with Herbs altar. So there's a questionnaire that you can fill out to look at your relationships with your ancestors and with herbs and gather the materials that you would like to make your altar with. And then there's a video of me making my Ancestral Healing with Herbs altar. It looks like I'm having a really good time. There's also the encouragement to create a womb journal with a video that I did a while back of creating your womb journal. then the next section is meeting your ancestral wise women. And there's an initiation meditation that I recorded that you can listen to meet your own ancestral wise women. Then there's a kitchen and garden ancestral herbal inventory where you go through, and this is a questionnaire, and there's 2 video components, how to prepare, and then like a guided meditation.
Wonderful.
Inventory of going through your kitchen and your garden and feeling the connection that you have with each of the herbs and spices in your kitchen and in your garden.
That's so beautiful. I love the idea of that, like being guided to do that, because I have such an awareness that I've had so much wisdom about my herbs and my spices and the plants, but I haven't really, like, I'm not acknowledging it. So the idea of writing it and making an inventory is an amazing idea.
Yeah. And then there's an invitation to share whatever wisdom you receive from these previous things in our Mighty Networks group. So this is the link to the Mighty Networks group where you can share about it, or it might be a link to a form to fill out to share just with me. I don't remember what that one links to. One or the other of those things. Some method for you to share the wisdom that came through for you in these meditations. So that's that initial part. And then this next part is there's going to be more of this connecting with herbs and different specific herbs. I'm going to be going through very specific herbs and the different ancestral healing functions that have come through my use and experience with them, and invitations for you to have your own experience and various ways of using the herbs and enlisting them as allies and enlisting the ancestors in that process. So that will be part of that. And another segment is going to be going into the various aspects of ancestral healing and combining the herbal healing with the ancestral healing. So the first part of that is often to look into our conception and birth. And so this is the beginning of that section where you can fill out this questionnaire, perhaps talk to your mother if you still can, either in person, actual communication with your living mother, or I'm probably going to create a meditation to connect with our mothers that might still be living, but we don't have good communication with them, so we can connect to that information through our own womb wisdom and our own womb memory, and how we're connected to our mother's memory. She might not even remember or know much or have even much to tell. So we can connect to our own intuition around that. So I'll probably create some guided meditations, and we'll go through conception and birth healing, our infancy and our early childhood, and then we'll do shadow tracking from the patterns that may present themselves that are symptomatic or that we're looking to heal in our early childhood and in our adult life. We can do shadow tracking to ancestral times when those patterns got initiated, ancestral experiences. And so that's to come in the course. And we can also retroactively give ourselves in this lifetime, we can be ancestors, guardian angels for our younger selves, and give ourselves, sort of relive our conception and birth and early infancy and all these initiatory times. We can do retroactive menarche ceremonies, retroactive first sexuality ceremonies, and and all through our lives, with the wisdom and the awareness that we have now through visionary meditation. So with ancestral healing, time becomes irrelevant. It's no longer linear. We can visit our younger selves. We can visit our ancestors. We can even invite our future selves and our future descendants to visit us now or at any point in the timeline. And through these practices and with the assistance of the herbs, we can do all that. So I'm gonna stop the screen share here. So that's just a little sneak peek preview at some of the components of the ancestral healing with herbs. And as you can see, it's a work in progress. There are many components that will be developed and added in as people join in and share their experiences, and there are needs that arise, desires that arise, issues that arise that want to be addressed. That will evoke the next round of creativity on my part to create, you know, the different meditations and practices and herbal wisdom sharings and all of that good stuff. So that's the little intro to the course, and I'm curious how you feel about all that, Claire, and any insights you have. My goodness, time just flew on by. You can tell I'm really excited about this project because I went on and on.
No, but it's fabulous. It's so exciting to hear as well, and also the dialogue that we've been having behind the scenes in the Mighty Network group. You know, just getting a little taste of women talking about their own personal relationship in the present time with plants or with their family, and then looking at their own ancestry. And for myself, the more I hear other women speaking to that, the more I understand that actually I have deep connections with my ancestors, with my partner's ancestors, with the ancestors of the land here and the community that I live in. And I feel a strong connection with them. I always had a sense of being like much more connected horizontally with the whole planet right now, like this big extensive sort of collective consciousness, like really woven into it, really sentient of everything that's flowing around there. But I didn't have such a strong sense of like stepping into the past, and I always felt it would be this thing that's so like mysterious and mystical, and something that you have to do a really serious ceremony or a sweat lodge with which I didn't really want to do. It didn't feel like that's not my culture, not my journey. But what I do feel is like I'm feeling that talking to the plants and having a personal relationship with the plants brings one into this interconnectedness, and therefore you don't have to do like big dramatic rituals, but just small rituals of actually speaking to a plant that's in your garden or a piece of land near your house, or sitting under a tree. I think it was Carissa who was talking about just sitting in the bough of a cherry tree or a blossom tree with the petals coming down, and what that felt like, and that intimate moment. And just doing that, like hearing other women talking about doing that, makes me realize, oh, I do a lot of things like that. I just feel drawn to a plant, and so like to start to witness it myself, like actually witnessing it and being around other women witnessing it. So I'm very excited to be part of a course that's just speaking to that, doing an inventory of the plants that I know, and listening to my dreams too. I've had some strong dreams recently about family and conflict and resolving conflict possibly, and yeah, various aspects. And it's a bit like if you just start writing down your dreams, then you start to have a more intimate dialogue with your dreams. Therefore your dreams start to speak to you as well. And it's this thing, if we share with each other in a container, in a safe container, there's this possibility to very subtly bring the energy and the magic and the wisdom, like wake up the wisdom that's already in us as well. That there's a profound wisdom we all have, that we all hold about plants and intuitive use of herbs and spices and cooking and all the rest of it. So, yeah, it's an absolute joy to be part of it. It really is.
Beautiful. Well, and you're reminding me about some of the other components. The next thing that was coming up for me that if you listen to the course, I talk about is that certain herbs are very good for helping us remember
Yeah.
Okay, so rosemary, for example, is the big one for helping us remember. And so there's a whole component around rosemary that I'm inspired to create. I have rosemary smudge sticks drying in the other room,
I love them.
that we'll be using in a rosemary remembrance ceremony that we can do as part of, that I'll share as part of the course, that anyone can do. Rosemary is such a commonly found herb, and that I was waiting to create those to make this next portion of the course. And as you're talking about dreams, I'm realizing that there are certain herbs that are very good for helping us with our dreams, and combining them with rosemary to help us remember our dreams. So mugwort is really good for helping us to enter that dream realm, whether we're awake or we're asleep. And so there are various methods, and I feel like combining rosemary and mugwort would be a great way to do a dream ancestral healing component of this course with the herbs in support. And I love what you're sharing about these simple everyday herbal interactions that we take for granted, that are direct access points to our ancestry, because many of the herbs we have growing in our garden wouldn't be here if it wasn't for some ancestor. Like rosemary growing here in my garden, it was brought from the Mediterranean, where it grows wild, by my ancestors. Some ancestor that came here to California from Europe brought rosemary. Okay, and so then herbs that were native to here, that connects me to the native ancestors of this land and my Native American ancestry as well. And so when we're just walking through the garden and connecting with the plants, we're directly connected with our ancestors, because our ancestors, when they die, their cells are dispersed into the natural environment. And I talk about this in the course. And then those plants are absorbing all of that DNA, and so the ancestors are right there in it, in those plants and in the sun. And so, there it is. And there's another component of the course too, of the elements: earth, air, fire, water, being our oldest, most ancient ancestry. And I just did I just recorded a meditation or a podcast episode about that. And I feel like that's another component of this course, is to dive into the elements and how the elements express themselves, and the ancestral quality of the elements expressing themselves through the plants, because each plant has a specific amount of any one of the elements. So for example, ginger has a lot of fire in it. It also has a lot of water in it. Okay, and then so there's energetic qualities of the herbs that as we connect with them, we understand those elemental and that elemental ancestral wisdom through the elemental qualities of the herb. So that's another component of the course. So this course, we could be doing this course for a while, but even just the material that's already created on there, it's a wonderful place to get started, and you can really dive into all of that. And you know, my experience of this kind of subtle healing that's just happening, that we take for granted in our everyday life, when we become aware of it and start to pay attention to it, it starts to become this big thing that's happening on a day-to-day basis that we weren't even aware of anymore. Before, we weren't aware of before, and now we're aware of, and we can start to feel and augment with our awareness those
and like the ceremonial comes into the every moment. Yeah, it's really,
that's right.
really powerful. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, and there's so much more power in a herbal tea than, you know, like just without thinking, throwing a load of things in, but gently taking each jar and thinking about where it came from and thinking about how we collected it or dried it and giving thanks to it, maybe saying a few words over it, and then very gently putting it into the hand and holding it in hand for a moment, maybe holding it in front of the womb or the heart or the center, and then laying it into the pot, and then the pouring of the tea, you know, the boiling of the water and the pouring of the tea, just, you know, rather than, you know, flinging a tea bag in a pot and flinging in some milk and sugar, you know, being really conscious of, you know, you're pouring this tea that has come from these plants that you've taken care of, that you've tended to, and now you're tending to yourself, and the gift of those plants and the properties, like welcoming the properties in. It's one of the things that I've really felt in my lifetime, that one of the subtle issues that I have in the world that needs to get healed is my subtle relationship with the world, like the feeling that I can only take in bad things, I can't take in good things, and I struggle to absorb nutriment. And I know that these things are classically like the root of certain diseases, to do with digestive disease or cancers of the colons and wombs and so colons and intestines and so on. But it's really interesting to feel like deeper than the physical, there's this mental and will, like the will that is not aligned with the world in a way. And so to start gently, you know, taking in, making friends with chamomile tea and with chamomile plants, and making friends with the land in which they grow, which is just here, there's chamomile, and gently giving thanks for it, and asking for its gifts, and being glad for its gifts, you know, actually consciously saying, I open myself to the gifts of this tea, and welcome in, rather than thinking, oh, you know, this is something I've got to do. I've got to drink herbal tea to try and make myself feel better, or try and clean my body, and I don't really like it as much. You know, I'd rather just drink a big cup of coffee. You know, this whole thing that goes on, this internal dialogue and blocking and disconnecting ourselves from the world. But like the power of having this cup of tea and really blessing it and being blessed by it, it's incredible how life changes dramatically when we start to do that, huh?
Yeah, and you know, that's such a good reminder for all of us, myself included. And what came to me when you were describing that process is that is ancestral wisdom right there. So many of our ancestors didn't have all the distractions and the busyness that we have, and
choice of foods.
Right, it would be this ceremonial connection. And I have that memory, like when you're describing that, I feel an ancient grandmother in a little hut with a garden outside, you know, every step a ceremonial devotion to Mother Earth as she goes from, you know, from her bedside to the kitchen to put the kettle on the fire, and giving thanks for the water and the fire, and then going out, every step a devotion to Mother Earth.
In gratitude. So isn't the thing that the difference with like going and getting our herbs from a counter in a supermarket or a jar, you know, that they've been mass produced somewhere, and you know, we've got a choice of 5,000 different plants or whatever in the garden centre or in the shop. But the difference between that and going out and spontaneously finding what's growing around, for example, and relating to wild plants, it's like a thing that awakes your whole intuition, your holistic interaction with the world, like your actual relationship with the world, rather than having a prescribed relationship with the world where you go to the supermarket and the supermarket tells you what you've got access to, you know, and tells you what nutrient content there is in it and what it's going to do for you, you know. Whereas you know, and then you go and read a textbook to find out what kind of plant you're meant to take, or you talk to a doctor and you get some advice. But actually to go directly to the source and go directly to the plant is,
yeah, and isn't it fascinating that we're coming full circle to that, because there were many struggles that our ancestors had, that with only having the plants that were available growing in the woods near them, being isolated, or, you know, not having the medical awareness that we have now, there are many things that couldn't be addressed with the herbs that were there available locally. But they did their best, and there was a richness to what was available that was very potent, where we're coming full circle from those people, those ancestors, feeling really blessed when a doctor came to the community who had trained in all of these other options and had more to give. And then the process of the herbology being disparaged and suppressed and even persecuted, and the herbal wise women being persecuted, you know, for all the various reasons that they were, and that wisdom being suppressed and lost. And now we're coming back to that wisdom and saying, wait a second, there's components, there's aspects of this that the medical system, especially our modern medical system, might not have been the case in the earlier medical systems, but our modern medical system has gone way off in the deep end of disconnection and dismemberment of the human body and the human spirit and the human emotions.
And lack of gratitude and respect for the environment, and the taking of elements from animals and from the environment and experiments and all the rest of it, like just completely lacking the feminine touch, which is the direct contact with nature and the direct talking across dimensions and interdimensions, and talking to our dreams. And sometimes it's hard to talk to the logical mind about all that and have it taken seriously.
Because there has been this rift of the logical mind held up as the ultimate ideal, and that emotions and intuition unreliable, problematic, too unpredictable, messy, doesn't really get you anywhere positive. Now we're returning full circle and saying, wait a second, what if there was a healthy partnership between the logical and the emotional and spiritual? And what if there's bridges built where, one area is really good at processing certain things that the logical is no good at trying to process human relationships and psyche and emotions are real. We're not going to stop having emotions with our logical thinking mind. Is just a failure. It doesn't work. It's not the right tool for the job in many, many circumstances and in our lives, and so we need our emotions, our intuition, our spirit to help us with so many aspects of healing and well-being that our logical thinking. So it needs to be a partnership between these very masculine and feminine dichotomies. We need to bring it back together. And so exactly,
the two being able to coexist and not be one beating down on the other, or the other having to defend itself and all the time and getting drained by this, having to defend yourself energy. I love it. I love the getting together in a group of women around this, the possibilities around what we can strengthen in our own systems, because we have been so weakened and undermined, and our intuitions have been undermined and continue to be undermined, because the world insists that we spend a huge amount of money, so we have to earn a huge amount of money, so we have to do very labour-intensive things in order to earn money that are conventionally valued and conventionally paid, essentially. And from there, we get drained on so many different levels. So just the reconnecting with plants and even talking to them, or even just acknowledging that we have them in our gardens or our houses already, and that our kitchen is filled with potential vitality and healing and all sorts. Even I hadn't even thought to put the plants that I'm using for steaming, that I bought a lot of different herbs for steaming and got hold of them and picked them locally, and I hadn't really thought to blend my own teas with them, and I just started doing it in the last few months. And oh my goodness, who wants to pay €3 for a 25 tea bags of some, who the hell knows where that plant came from, or was it industrially grown or whatever, from some other continent. But here, there's a big handful of nettles and some mint that I've grown in the balcony, and some chamomile that's from a really good distributor here that I know is from country, at least from Italy, and some lavender that I know is local as well. So, I mean, a totally different thing. Huh? It's like, I feel like I'm knitting and sewing my connection with the world, like weaving my connection with the world through these small actions that I felt so isolated in the world. And I know a lot of women feel like that. You know, we feel isolated from other women and isolated from the whole women's collective. So yeah, it's, you know, this is the work that we're doing. We're reweaving all these connections, and then even a small critical mass has this massive effect radiating out, that we all feel it's easier for me to come away from speaking with you and connecting with the group. It's easier for me to go away and connect with other women and just, you know, scoop them up in my arms and share my wisdom with them, because I'm already doing it here and it becomes easier and easier. So, yeah.
Beautiful. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. So I just want to thank you, Claire, for taking the time to nurture this relational way of communicating and creating together and reweaving this web of connection that we're all, I feel, many of us are so hungry for and missing piece in many of our healing processes. You know, I mean, when we think of healing processes and how it's presented to us, you know, we're kind of by ourselves. We go to some doctor, they tell us what we're supposed to do, and we do it by ourselves. And when we do it together and support each other, I've always experienced a much greater benefit and much easier process too, because sometimes, you know, making a change or including something new into our routine can be challenging. But when we have a group of people that we're all doing it together, then that fortifies the process for us. We can support each other and share. We can share our experiences and feel resonance with each other around it and all of that. So thank you so much for coming on and sharing about that and talking with me about it. And so I look forward to any listeners who are interested in this course that we've been talking about, the Ancestral Healing with Herbs course. You can look at becoming a member of the Womb-Centered Healing Temple website, and you can also become a member of the Womb-Centered Healing Temple Mighty Networks group, where we're all sharing and talking about these processes, among other things. And there's also the Womb-Centered Healing Temple Facebook group. So those are all options to get involved in this process and learn more. And Claire also shares actively in that Mighty Networks group. So if you want to connect with her, is there other ways that people can connect with you too? I know you have your own website and your own Patreon site.
I do. I'm on Clare Artista. My name is Irish spelling, not the French spelling, so it has no I in it. ClareArtista.com. And if you just look up Clare Galloway Artist, you'll find me. And I'm also on Patreon, which is a membership subscribing site where you can join for whatever fee you decide you want to pay and get access to everything that I'm sharing. So, yeah.
Lovely. So similar, Claire and I have been discussing this whole membership site, creating our own platforms to share our work that feel clean and supportive of what we're doing. And so I thank you for joining me, Claire, and thank you, listeners. And that's all for now. So until next time.
Ciao, ciao.